No?
Okay, welcome back for another exciting day, book 6, A Year of Magical Learning. So here we are,
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, excited for this one. So book 6, so the Year of Magical Learning. The book we're going to be talking about today is Tuesdays with Morrie. It's written by an author called Mitch Albom. Have you guys, just out of curiosity, have either one of you read this?
Unfortunately, I have not, but reading your reflection wants me to go pick it up.
Well, we'll get there in a second. But Blake, have you read this one?
Never heard of it.
Okay. Oh, by the way, everyone, we have a new party joining us today. Blake, he's one of our co-founders of Clubany as well. So we thought it'd be fun to have him as a guest on the Year of Magical Learning podcast today. So welcome, Blake, and we're looking forward to getting your thoughts. Quick rundown of the book, just kind of what it's about. So this guy named Mitch. This is a true story. This guy named Mitch Albom. He was a student of this guy named Morrie Schwartz back in college. He was a sociology professor. Morrie Schwartz is years past. They have a really close relationship back in college. Like 20, 30 years. I don't know what the exact time frame was past. Mitch goes on, has a successful career as a sports writer and columnist, and works at a newspaper. And he sees a story on the nightly news about his old college professor named Morrie Schwartz, who is dying of ALS. And this local, the nightly news, like I think it was Tom Brokaw, had heard from friends about this guy named Morrie that, was kind of giving all these lessons about life and things like that. And, as he found out he was dying of ALS, and it really, they were all very impacted by it. And Tom Brokaw goes to interview him, and Mitch sees his old professor on TV, and he's like, "Oh my God, my professor's dying. I want to, it's been 20, 30 years. We used to be really close. I want to go see him." So he goes and sees him one day, flies out to New York or wherever Morrie lived. I can't remember. And he goes and visits him, and Morrie, I can't remember exactly how this all came about, but they ended up having a great conversation, reconnecting. And Morrie asked Mitch if he would, come back and write down, have like a conversation with him and write down his story and share some of his thoughts that he was sharing with other people. And they would talk about life and all different kinds of topics and subjects, and death and what happiness means and yada yada yada. And so Mitch would come back every Tuesday, and that's why it's called Tuesdays with Morrie. Mitch would fly out. He would meet him on Tuesdays. It was over like I think 12 weeks maybe or something like that he flew back and forth, and they had these Tuesday sessions, and Mitch would record them, and then he would go home and he would write his notes. And, eventually Morrie passed away from ALS. So that was Mitch's promise to him, was he would write this story and he would share it with the world, and he did. And it turned into a, international bestseller. One of the things that struck me the most, I love the book. It's a really touching book if you guys want to read it. And I think there's a lot of great lessons to be learned in it. But the biggest thing for me that I learned from this book is on like one of the last weeks where Morrie was getting closer and closer to death, and they, was one of the last visits that Mitch went out there and visited him. He asked him like, "Hey Morrie, what's your perfect last day going to be?" And Morrie ends up talking to him and says, "Mitch," he's like, "really nothing crazy." He's like, "I just want to wake up, exercise, eat a little bit of breakfast, go dancing with friends. Go dancing, have lunch with some friends, maybe go for a swim. Nothing really special, just, things that I love to do and things that I, really care about." And, Mitch told him, as he was writing the book, he was so surprised by that, how ordinary that was. Like, you have one day left to live in your life. And Morrie's like, this is what I value. This is what it really matters. So for me, the big, kind of reflection that I took away from this book was maybe the perfect day really is ordinary. I know today, like I used to always think when I was younger, before my whole situation with Amelia happened, and before, this whole year magical learning journey and all this other stuff, that like I was always happiest when, I was traveling around the world or going to see, new food in Italy or meeting new people or just had to have these great, crazy experiences. And, the more and more that I've gotten, invested into my core values, into my own personal mission and purpose that I've learned through Amelia, And the more that the more that I've invested into activities, things that I can do every single day, like, just waking up every morning and reading, and writing these reflections, and writing the book that I wrote for my daughter, and having conversations with you guys, where we do, clubbing stuff, and we're talking about balance, and hanging out with my family. Like, I mean, I don't need to travel anyway. I don't need to do anything. It's just very ordinary day, and that's when I'm happiest. So that's kind of my reflection, I guess, just at a high level. Love to get your guys' thoughts. I don't know who wants to go first, but what do you guys think? Is the perfect day ordinary, or what do you think the perfect day is?
You want to take a whack at it? Like,
Well, it's really weird that you're saying this, because I actually just had this conversation with my dad, similar conversation of, I had mentioned before the recording started, recently had a little problem with gambling. Recently made a trip out to visit a friend in Denver. And I have a wife and child here at home. Love them, most important thing in the world. But my whole life, I've always kind of, I guess, gotten, I was kind of driven from those ups and downs, and now that I'm no longer gambling, trying to do the right things, it's seeking that I guess that thrill. It's the thing it's hard is that shift of mindset of not like pursuing that anymore. But I know that is the most important thing to me. And I was telling my dad, I was like, it's kind of strange, just days seem the same over and over again, wake up at the same time, do the same things, like, and I'm so used to not doing that, like having to shift my mindset to like not like being okay with that. I mean, I feel a lot happier when I do that. I feel a lot more stable. I feel it's not, the ups aren't really high, there aren't downs though. So I think so many people don't, it's hard to shift over this perfect ordinary day kind of mindset. But I think it's definitely the right answer of what everybody should be doing. It's just figuring out what that perfect ordinary day looks like for them. So
yeah, well, that's the question: is how do you find your perfect ordinary day? I mean, I know how I found it. I mean, what's your approach?
I mean, mine is honestly been exercising, then doing just some sort of learning. It can be a podcast, it can be a church service, it can be whatever. Exercising, spending time with my wife and kid. And I spend time with my kid when I first pick him up from daycare, put him down to bed, spend some time with my wife after that. And that's pretty much the day right there.
Yeah, I mean, doing a little meaningful work, maybe connecting with some meaningful relationships as well. Like those are things that I really, I mean, I guess where I was going at with this is with the question I just asked you is, it's the things that you value, right? Like that's you're doing that, you're performing actions around things that you value. You value learning, you value health and wellness, and so get exercising or whatever it may be. If you value meaningful work and what that can bring to your life, like those are the things that you should do every single day. Like you can do that anywhere. I don't care if you are in Italy, you can still do those things. You can go with you, but it's still ordinary. If I'm on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean or whatever, I'm still waking up every day, getting a workout in, reading a book, doing a little bit of writing, spending some time with my family, trying to do a little bit of meaningful work. I mean, that's just it. I can't have a great day if I don't do the stuff that I say that I like, that I care about.
Those are integrated in your life every single day. I feel like so many people go and they try to find and seek something and reach, for something, trying to find something new, but it's the things that you integrate in your day every single day that, those are the most important things. So yeah,
true. What do you got?
Based on your reflection title, the perfect day is ordinary, I totally get that. I mean, I understand it to the point where I don't think I would have understood it maybe 5 years ago. But I really get that, and I truly think that's what make me feel happy now. The question said, what is your perfect day? To me, right now, my perfect day is almost every day. I may run into some issues on some days, but most of my days are pretty perfect because my day is like this. I wake up, I I work a little, I play a little, I play when I want to, I work when I want to. I'm independent. I control the time. I do what I feel like I should be doing. And to me, that puts me in a great set of mental health. And my mind, my mental, my spirit, my spiritual kind of like aura is anchor, and I feel great. And to me, that's what me happy. It's not about before I found company, and before I found out what I need to do on this mission. I would be the hustler. Wake up early, you rise, you grind, and you repeat, and I do that. And to me, um, I did not enjoy that, and I recalling the memory. I basically think that's a waste of my time trying to pursue something. And the book. This book reminds me of the other book, The Alchemist. Your
Yeah.
perfect day, it's already under your nose. You're
Right.
born with a perfect day, and you
Right.
want to go out there and create actions or whatever and create stress for yourself. And then eventually you go full circle and say, well, the what I'm looking for is already here, and
Right.
I just didn't know where to look. And so for me, it's this kind of book I can really relate to. And like I said, I would love to pick up this book just because it sounds like my kind of book.
Yeah, no, it is a great read, and I do highly recommend it. Piggybacking on your whole alchemist comment, the thing with Morrie was like this incredibly endearing old man that had lived a great life, but these were lessons that he was sharing with Mitch, on his deathbed, and these are things that he was saying, like, I wish I would have done this stuff, my whole entire life.
Mhm.
I think one of the other big takeaways and lessons that I have, and with Clubany and our personal mission, as a nonprofit and an organization, is to help people to find balance now, and to find what their perfect day is, and to help them to live that now, so they don't have to wait until they're 80 years old on their deathbed to go, oh yeah, the perfect day was ordinary. Like, they could have been doing this all along and been happy, and or whatever that word means. I don't know
Yeah.
if happy is the right word, but been fulfilled with meaningful work and meaningful relationships, their entire life. And they don't have to look at back and regrets and have to have these conversations, leaving a legacy of things like your magical learning and whatnot, of other people that can follow along in their path, where they can hear their thoughts throughout the course of the year. I don't need to be on my deathbed to say what we're talking about right now, and to reflect back to people. We're documenting these things, we're writing these reflections, we're living our values every single day, and this is the output of it. And if somebody finds this somewhere someday, great. But I know it helps us. I know it helps me, and that's all that really matters, right?
Yeah, it's all about finding the fitting. Like for me, is what makes me happy is I get to be me. What does
Yeah.
me means, it's up to me. What does me mean to you, it's up to you. And so if
Exactly.
you can be you, I mean, I keep saying that the same quote, a painter must paint, right? A writer must write.
A beaver must dam.
A
Don't forget.
a beaver must dam, right? If you do what you're or created to do, you're gonna feel like you're fulfilled. And when you feel fulfilled, your feelings, how you feel about your life, it's feels good. I mean, the point is you gotta do things that make you feel good, but not the feel good just because it's yeah, I want to eat a cake, right? Because when you eat the cake, you actually have to you feel good for a short time, and then you you suffer. This feel good is the long lasting feel good. Like, do what is right, right?
Yep.
What feels right to you, not feel what you feel like doing. It's about what is right for you. So it's all about finding that fitting, and you find you find the work that's worthwhile to you.
True happiness doesn't come from things that are instant gratifications. It's
Agreed.
yeah, the
Right.
true long-term rewards are the ones that take the time. Now, I think it's one thing where you guys know that maybe if anyone does listen to this, what they might not know is what, like, the whole process of actually understanding what those things are for yourself. I think it sounds like a simple thing that you could just list off,
No.
but it's not. It's
No,
not.
no, not at all. That's what this whole year of magical learning is. I mean, it's taken me hundreds and hundreds of books and losing my daughter and losing, for True, having a midlife crisis after starting multiple businesses and, finding each other and going through all this. And, I mean, it takes a lot of life lessons to learn this. I'm just glad that we learned it when we're learning this stuff and we have ability to
Yep.
change direction going forward. I mean, I would give anything to have my daughter back and not be on this journey, but if this is what it is, then this is what it is, right? So yeah, I mean, great. Any final thoughts, closing thoughts here before we wrap up today?
I mean, a perfect day should be every day.
Agreed.
Should be every day. You got to take the time to think about what's really going to make up that perfect day. I think you got to,
And to me, like I said, the perfect day, it's actually pretty simple. Is I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it. I want to play a little whenever I want to, when I want to work, when I want to work. That to me is a perfect day.
I think you've done the pre-work though that most people in the world haven't done of understanding.
Exactly. It's a foundation. You have to have a mental framework of foundations, to kind of have that perspective. And that's why I think this year of magical learning, it's actually putting people on the right path. Like, how do I think differently? How can I see from another person's perspective?
Right. It's about values. It's about understanding what you value.
Mhm.
And that takes time. I mean, it sounds easy in theory just to say, oh, I value family. Well, do you really value family? Like, what do you do to, what actions do you do to reflect that? And have you thought through this and have you reflected through it? So anyway, yeah, great conversation, fellas. Appreciate you talking through this. For the listeners out there and following along. The question for the day is what's your perfect day? Just something to ponder and think about. And
Yes.
and we will
And comment
see you.
on what your perfect day is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
whether you agree with us or you don't.
I'd love that. Love to
Right.
see
Well,
the
until
comments.
next time, take care.